Your jackets suck. Well, they don't suck, but they could definitely be a whole lot better. Next to alterations and patchwork, one of the things that a lot of beginner sewers do is adding patches to their jackets or their pants, vests, a whole bunch of stuff like that. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Now, you typically see patches on a lot of denim jackets, workwear jackets, and pants. And adding patches to your garment might seem like something that may take a little bit of time, but trust me, it's really easy, really simple. I'm going to go over it with you in this video. My name's Chad, I'm your tAilor. Follow me on Instagram to see all the stuff I do and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. I realize I don't like plug a lot of my social media. So I'm going to ask you guys to do that. Subscribe also, the whole bunch of all that YouTube stuff. Anyway, let's get right to sewing. All right, before we get to sewing, and by sewing I mean sewing our patches on. Obviously this is a patch sewing tutorial. What we're going to be doing is showing you guys 3 different types of stitches that I normally use when sewing patches. There are a whole bunch of stitches when it comes to hand sewing you guys can look up and research and do, but the 3 I like to use the most are the back stitch, the running stitch, and the whip stitch. I'm going to show you guys how to do all 3 of these stitches when sewing on patches. All right, to sew on patches, you guys are going to need 5 things. If you're going to be doing any type of hand sewing, you're going to need these things. 5 things are, first one, of course, you need some patches. Find a whole bunch of patches, either online or take them off a jacket or in like a thrift store or something like that. You can use these patches, you're going to sew them onto your new garment. The second thing is obviously a garment to sew. This is a black canvas Dickies work jacket. I'm just gonna be sewing some patches on this one, so find your garment. The third thing you're gonna need is some thread. This can pretty much be any color that you want. I just chose 4 threads here that correspond with the patches that I want, so it kind of matches. The fourth thing you need is a needle. I'm gonna be using this larger needle. It's just gonna make it a little bit easier to use a larger needle, although you do not need a large needle like this. And the last thing you need is scissors. This is just to cut the thread and make your job and your life a whole bunch easier. Okay, so our first stitch I'm going to show you guys is our running stitch, and this is the easiest by far. It's like the most quintessential sewing stitch. I'll be using it and showing you guys on a piece of muslin cloth, so it's just a little bit easier for you guys to see. First thing I want to do is thread my needle. I'm just threading the needle here and doubling it up and just knotting the ends. All right, anyway, so I knot the thread here. And what we're basically going to be doing is I'm going to show you guys to sew this in a straight line. You can do this in curves and whatnot. Basically what we're going to be doing is taking our needle, inserting it into the fabric, and pretty much just coming in from the bottom, then from the top, then from the bottom again, and from the top. And we're basically going to be doing this as many times as we need to for stitch length. Pretty much just going to keep doing this back to front. Oh, I got a little knot there. That's what I get for not waxing my thread. There we go. Our running stitch, really nice and quick and easy. I'm going to show you guys a faster way to do it. You might not be able to do this on patches because of how thick the patches are, but I'm going to show you guys a quicker way to do a running stitch. You basically, if you have a longer needle like this usually works with long needles, is we can insert the needle in the fabric, then back out, then in, then out, then in, then out, kind of like that, and then just pull the thread through. That way we get a little bit of a quicker running stitch. This usually works on thinner fabrics like this. If you have like a thicker patch, it might not work that smoothly when doing it like that, but you can just do it in and out. It might be a little bit slower, but you'll get the same exact effect. Our second stitch that we're going to be going over is our back stitch. Now this starts pretty similar to our running stitch. What we're going to be doing is inserting the needle into the fabric, then coming through from the bottom on the other side as well. And as you can see, it's pretty similar to our running stitch so far, but now we're going to be, instead of going 1 stitch length forward, we're going to be going 1 stitch length back and try and insert the needle in the exact same hole that you started with. So we're going back, that's kind of why it's called a back stitch. Got pretty close there, insert the needle into the same hole like that, and then we're going to be taking our needle and then coming up from the bottom a stitch length away. And then we just repeat, insert our needle into the hole of the previous stitch. Then from the bottom, we're going to be coming up about a stitch length away. And again, from the top, we're in the hole of the previous stitch. And then once again, coming up about a stitch length away. Now a quicker way to do this is we can insert the needle. When we're inserting the needle into the previous stitch, you can just, again, if you have a longer needle, so it's a little bit easier to have longer needles, you can see I just inserted the needle from the back, one stitch length away again. That way it's a little bit quicker when I'm sewing, and you can just keep on doing that for as many stitches as we require. All right, so this is what the front of the back stitch looks like, and this is what the back looks like. My line wasn't straight there, but you guys can just forgive me for that. And that is the back stitch. Now, the last stitch we're gonna be going over here today is the whip stitch. And how we're gonna be doing this, it works best on like an edge. So I just doubled up some fabric here to simulate an edge. This is very similar to what an overlock machine or a serger does. So whip stitch or an overcast stitch. What we're gonna be doing is taking our needle and inserting it from the back here. There we go. And we're gonna be looping the thread over that edge and then inserting it again about 1/8 of an inch or so away. Or it can be larger. It can be like 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. And then we're gonna be, again, flipping that thread over on the side and inserting it. And then we just keep on doing that over and over again until we get our desired length. Try and make sure that the spaces between the stitches are as even as you can. Here, I'm kind of a little bit uneven there, but this is only for demonstration purposes, so I don't have to be perfect. And then you pretty much just continue that for as long as you need the stitch to be. And that's it, we're done. All right, so now that we have our 3 stitches, our running stitch, our back stitch, and our whip stitch, we can now translate what we learned here onto our garment and onto our patches. All right, so these are all my patches, and once you get patches that you like, pretty much pick which ones you want and figure out where on the jacket or pants or skirt or vest or blouse or scarf or shoes or mittens or or underwear, I don't know, you want to put them. You can do that pretty much yourself, and once you figure out a place, you just want to pin them to the garment. All right, so we have our patches on the jacket where we want it to be. I have my needle and my thread. I threaded my needle and also doubled it. I'm gonna be working on this one, white thread for the white patch. Of course, you can use any color that you want, but I just want them to kind of match. Before I start any sewing, especially hand sewing, I always like to wax my thread. Just got a big block of beeswax here that I'm just running the thread through. It just adds a little bit of like, the thread goes through the fabric a little bit easier and also doesn't knot up as much. So I'm just gonna be doing that. And let's start. So I always like to start from the bottom. So I'm gonna be using a running stitch and a back stitch combination. It's my favorite combination to use when sewing on patches because it kind of like works similarly to stitching and then back stitching on your sewing machine. The running stitch is good for the majority of the run on the patch, and then I like to back stitch just like the first couple and last couple of stitches just to kind of secure it into place a little bit better. So after I did a couple of back stitches, let me just do one more back stitch. I'm just gonna use running stitches for the remainder of the patch. And I wish I had a thimble. Getting a thimble would be so much better for this, so I don't have to stab my finger. So yeah, using a running stitch and a back stitch combination. It's an elite combo, man. That's like Starsky and Hutch. It's like Hall and Oates, Cardi and Uzi. It's another dope combination, a dope duo. Oh no, that's the only thing I could think of. Batman and Robin, there we go. All right, we got another one. Let's see. Pink Panthers and Ice Spice. And the Boy's a Liar, bro. Track went hard, track went crazy. Damn, better couple than these two couples right here. Jeez. Back stitch and running stitch, man. That's what I'm talking about. It's really quick and simple, nice and easy. One thing I always, whenever I get patches from like random places, one thing that always crosses my mind is like, what if I'm like, what if I see a cool patch and it turns out to be something a little unsavory, you know? Sam and Sue, British Columbia Centennial 1971 patch. Probably not anything crazy, but you know, you never know. If like Sam and Sue were like, you know, weirdos or something, or had some strange beliefs, or interesting. Done, I'm done. That wasn't that bad. And this patch is nice and stuck on the garment. I can remove these pins because they are redundant. Now let's check out the back of the patch. Wow, you can even see where I did some back stitching and some running stitching. The back stitching is a little bit closer together and the running stitch is more spaced apart. And just to finish off the stitch I just want to knot the thread so that it's not, that's funny. That's actually not funny, it's a bad joke. I just want to finish off and knot the thread so that it stays nice and secure. We're not gonna have Sam and Sue falling off the jacket anytime soon. Look at those boots, damn. Sam's got some swag, man. Wouldn't it be cool if he had a patch on his little vest? It'll be kind of like, you know, patchception or something. Anyway, I'm gonna pretty much do the exact same thing to the rest of the patches, and then I'll be back to show you guys what a whip stitch looks like. Alright, so here we have the jacket. These two patches are attached, and we did one on the shoulder as well too. These were all done with the back stitch and the running stitch method. Now let's do our final patch on the other shoulder, and we're going to be doing this with a whip stitch. The starting of attaching this patch with the whip stitch is the same as our other patches. We're going to take our needle, and we're going to start from inside the fabric, and we're going to come out on one side of the patch here. This might be a little bit difficult to see because it's a yellow patch on yellow thread. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Oh no, I cannot zoom in. Yikes. You guys are gonna really have to lock in and look at this one. So doing our whip stitch, what we're gonna be doing is wrapping the thread over the patch and then taking our needle and putting it through. It might help if I stick my hand inside the patch here to sort of anchor it together. So taking our needle, so putting our thread over the edge of the patch, and then taking our needle, putting it through the backing fabric and through the patch again. And that is our whip stitch. One thing I also want to bring up is if you do have a thimble, it really does help to get a thimble so that you don't hurt the tips of your fingers. So we're going to be doing the same exact thing. You can take a look and see what a couple of the stitches look like. I'm really close. You can kind of see them there. Again, it's yellow on yellow, so you're going to have to really lock in to see, but you can kind of see the stitches that are there. And we're going to do that over the entirety of the patch, the whole patch. Man, when I have kids, bro, I'm gonna have the flyest stuff ever. Make them a whole bunch of things. And that's it, we are done. Now let's take a closer look at that whip stitch. You can kind of see exactly what we're doing there. You can see how it just kind of goes over the edge of the patch. We attach it there. And I made sure just to go over the edge right on this sort of trim on the patch so it's not gonna be seen as much. That's our last patch done, and we are done. Well, we are done. This is what the jacket looks like with all the patches, and let me know in the comment section below which hand stitch was your favorite and which one will you be using in your next sewing project to, you know, add patches to your pants or your shirts or your skirts or pretty much anything, your bags. This is a pretty cool project, really nice and simple. One thing I do want to recommend though is when you finish adding your patches on, make sure just to like take your iron and just go over and press the patches just to make sure everything's nice and yeah, nice and smooth. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at tAilor, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.